In the food and beverage industry, efficiency and cleanliness are paramount. At Hanover Conveying Systems, we understand that the right conveyor belt not only meets hygiene standards, but also enhances production efficiency.
For those in the food sector, choosing the correct conveyor belt is critical. Let's explore our top picks for various applications.
First up are plastic modular belts. These are made from individual plastic modules, and these are ideal for washdown environments.
So one of the types of plastic modular belts is radial plastic modular belt. This allows you to accomplish a curve with a conveyor belt.
The other type is straight. So this is a type of straight belt here. This is actually a high temperature nylon, so you can use this in high temperature applications.
We also have some micro pitch. This allows belts to go around a very tight nose bar. Good for transfers and small objects.
And with a lot of these belts, some of the things you can do with it is add accessories to it. So this belt actually has a series of rollers in the belt. You can also get this belt with flights or scoops, or there's a multitude of different things you can add to this belt for your application.
And then finally here, this kind of shows different surface textures and openings that you can have on the modules themselves. Small, large, textured, smooth. So Scott, what are some of the cons?
So plastic modular belt typically is a little more expensive than the other types of belting. And they're, especially on curve belting, we run into issues with length and width of belt. So you're limited as to how far you can go with a curve belt on the length of it. So that's some of the cons.
Another great alternative to plastic modular is our tabletop.
Yeah, so this is a tabletop belt. It's made out of plastic. This is a straight style belt. Great thing about this is these are fairly economical. You can go with long runs of belts with this style, and you can get this also in a curved style belt. Also available is a stainless steel type that Miles is going to show you. This is actually a radius style belt made out of stainless steel. More expensive, but great for washdown and also good for high heat applications.
Yep. Also extremely heavy duty, very tough.
So the cons are tabletop belt is traditionally a little bit more difficult to clean because there are a lot of knuckles and hidden areas in these belts that become difficult to spray. Stainless steel is a little bit more expensive than the plastic and plastic modular belts. So if you're looking to go stainless, expect to pay a little bit more for that style belt.
So following our tabletop belt is our fabric belt. Scott, do you want to tell us a little bit about the fabric belt?
Sure, absolutely. So this is a piece of fabric belt. These are traditionally used in light duty to very heavy duty applications. Great for tight transfers. The thinner the belt, the tighter the transfer, the tighter the radius that this belt can go around, which means you get a very tight transfer with small objects. Also economical, so you can move product for a very cheap dollar per foot cost. They can get these in both endless, or you can get them laced so that they're easy to take off. They'll put either metal lace or clipper lacing in the belt.
So these would be used in bakery industries. They could be used to transfer raw dough to the ovens, and they're lightweight with a PVC covering woven on the back.
PVC is great for scrapers too. If you have a product that sticks to the belt, you can use a scraper to scrape it off.
Like raw dough, exactly.
A little bit less easy to clean because there is a pattern to the belt. So if you need to wash it down, it does get a little bit more difficult to do that, but it still can be cleaned.
And the PVC covering on top, that would also have an effect on its heat resistance and its ability to operate in high temperature areas, correct?
Right, correct. Okay. These are great because they operate in such a large range of capacities. We can, like Miles said, you can have a small dough handling conveyor that runs very small pieces of dough up to a massive, steel casting. And the thicker you go with the belt, the higher the capacity is. So very broad range of loads that these kinds of belts can take.
And for the ultimate in hygiene, these are our monolithic belts.
So these belts are made from polyurethane, and they're completely monolithic, meaning it's the same material throughout. Fantastic for cleanliness. So these are very easy to clean. There's not a lot of areas on these belts for bacteria or any other pathogens to grow in or get harbored in. We can add different types of accessories to the belt. Now, as you can show, we have a belt here with a flight.
So this is a flight that's just molded directly to the belt, and we can get these in different intervals and different lengths.
What are the offerings for the different flights?
Well, you can change it depending on the angle that the conveyor is inclining, if it's an incline. We can also introduce a second lip like this one is shown here, so that way no product will roll out whenever it's going up the hill. And you can change the lengths as well, and you can carry more product at one time.
So the closer you can get, the closer you put these flights together, the more product throughput you can get.
Traditional belts, you rely on a side guide that is located or floats just over top of the belt. But with these are completely molded and sealed, so it keeps even moisture or liquid that is being transferred on this belt inside the belt.
We use that a lot for companies that require high sanitation, where they don't want any of the product to land on the floor. It also gives them a ability to have a very high output, so they're not losing a lot of waste because things are falling out of the conveyor. It remains within the belt of the conveyor and is transferred through this system very easily.
And similarly to our fabric belts, these belts are also offered with thermolacing or just lacing, or they can be endless as well, so they can be sealed from the factory.
So some of the cons to monolithic belt are they're a little bit more expensive, and they're not good for high temperature applications. As soon as you start, there's a limitation on the temperature you can use these belts with. The higher it gets, the belt starts to expand and warp. So you have to be careful what temperature you're using these belts with. So in food plants, they call it a HACCP requirement for the food plant. A lot of those HACCP requirements say that your product has to be FDA compliant or NSF compliant.
Okay.
So monolithic belts, styles like these, what we would typically use in those applications, because the material meets FDA, they're more likely to get NSF approval. There's various other standards in the industry for food applications that these belts meet. So these are great for food applications, especially meat, poultry, dairy, anything that requires high sanitation.
Finally, moving from a belt that doesn't do well in high heat, Scott, tell us about these metal belts.
So these are stainless steel belts used for very high temperature applications. Great for washdown because they are all stainless. You get very big load capacities out of these belts. Miles has a belt with a very small mesh in it that allows tight transfers. Miles, what are some of the pros and cons to using stainless steel belt?
Pros on it would be cooling. So metal belts allow hot product to be put out onto them.
So some of the cons to stainless steel belts are they're heavy, a lot heavier than the fabric or plastic modular belt, and they're also expensive. So that's a consideration you have to make when you're designing a conveyor. Does the cost represent enough to be able to use stainless steel in that application?
Very expensive. So what are some other industries that these type of belts are used in other than food and beverage?
So Miles, these belts can be used in heavy-duty applications such as casting and machinery or machining operations, metal processing, anything that requires the product to be dipped in like a painting line or something that the material won't affect the belt at all. Thank you for watching today's video and learning about the belts we offer here at HCS.
At Hanover Conveying Systems, we're committed to elevating safety and productivity with custom conveyor solutions across all industries. Contact us today to find the perfect conveyor belt for your application.